The nature of war consisteth not in actual fighting, but in the known disposition thereto. Thomas Hobbes, Leviathan. They shall not grow old. 1. The guns fell silent months ago. The rotted remains of shattered men have quickened the war-battered soil. See now, fed on that mangled compost, how ruddily the poppies bloom. Shed blood was never brilliant red like these forgetful flowers. Too soon it soaked into the mud. 2. The glorious dead are mouldering now. Children ignore neglected monuments to a forgotten war. 3. In the forenoon, a terrible blossoming. The potholed track erupts in agonies of death and twisted metal. In the warlord's fields, the peasants tend the poppy crop. Not mentioned in dispatches. This place has already sheltered troops from a skirmish or two. The building nothing now but a shell. Below stairs the cellars still survive. You could climb down into the lightless stink and mire if you've a mind not to die before your time. In places fetid water laps your thighs. No need to look for the dead down there. Their bouquet comes to greet you. Whatever the price for entry, you pay if you need the shelter enough. Thank God they knew how to build those long dead artisans. We cower among the massive piers as mortar rounds explode. Deafened, suffocating, some of us barely alive, all of us counting ourselves lucky. Drone. The mercies of light have already been denied to the helpless city. The few who remain sheltered in basements and cellars, their fear cavorting in the flickers of candle flames. Far above them, the dark shelters marauding packs of mechanized murder. So numerous, the air, the very ground pulsates with intimations of approaching death. My grandparents must have been among those who cowered. Their dismembered flesh was never recovered. Inner city vision of jungle war. Thickets of fear surround us. In the heavy night, soundless menace treads lightly. Don't move, thorns of suspicion tear at vulnerable flesh. Nobody dares strike a spark. Light's clarity creates too sharp a target for the searing rush of steel, invites destruction. We crouch in the anonymous dark in dread of identity. None of us will die cradled in loving arms. We'll gasp alone, beyond consolation. Songs for the New World Order. 1. The taste of defeat. Little remains of the humdrum years they shared. In their village, some buildings seem almost undamaged, as those still sheltering contentment that might have been. The silent forest is crowned green with living trees. But in the schoolhouse, Staff officers press coloured pins into a map that hangs on the wall. Fresh pins to mark the army's latest gains. It has swept through the valleys. Its tanks are roaring across the plain. 2. The refugee. He digs. The foreign soil yields to the forks turning. The images of sudden death of his native city burning are dormant. Later they'll foil his night-long search for rest. Now he digs, his vest soaked with sweat. Here they turn the soil, reap what they've sown. As he digs, he cannot yearn an impossible harvest. He buries the ashes of his home. 3. Newsworthy. Hungry, she sucks at her weeping mother's breast, tasting nothing but the tang of bitter tears. The air she breathes is acrid. She's dispossessed before she knows it of everything but fears. Compassion here is manifest in the camera's sightless leer. A blanket and a key. The key makes an apt symbol for slavery, worn about the neck to remind the child of the dreadful gulf that separates his warm and living body from eternity. Many might have crossed this border inauspiciously, but for the devout child, the key promises that his instant of obliteration will prove a portal. He will enter paradise. The key and the blanket. Infidel troops have buried high explosive mines to decimate the forces of righteousness. To clear the way, the boys, with their blankets and keys, are braced for sacrifice. The blankets will contain the stained and broken remnant of youthful flesh. As they roll toward the foe, their motion will detonate the buried mines. The adult soldiers will step over the lifeless blankets.